Avi Meyer's Northtown Neighborhood News Magazine, a presentation of Sonny Hirsch and myself. Check us out on the web at ntnm.org, where you'll find over 1,000 different interviews, hundreds of thousands of shows watched. CommunityPolicingCaps24.org. I had two people stand me up today, of all things. And anyway, I put a notice on Facebook, and bang, 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 all of a sudden, it took less than an hour to find two guests. My next guest is somebody who's been on the show a few times, and somebody who's a Lisagor award-winning journalist, as well as a journalism teacher. He's from Buffalo Grove. I don't know if are you still blogging?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Okay, so we're talking about Stan Zoller. Stan, how you doing?
Good to see you, Avi.
You too. And anyway, so what fun and games are you up to these days?
Well, it's been an interesting summer. I think the highlight, without a doubt, of the summer was my wife and I went to Israel. We spent 2.5 weeks, and we participated in the Volunteers for Israel program. That's the American part of it, best known as SAREL, which stands for Sherut Israel, Service to Israel. And the program gives you a chance to do civilian volunteer work on a non-strategic military base in Israel. So we went there in June, and we're on a base right outside of Beersheba. And people say, what was the highlight? And I said there wasn't one, because there were so many highlights, of course, just going to Israel, but participating in this program, which draws both Jews and non-Jews from all over the world.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, the woman who runs the Chicago program is somebody who went to my synagogue on the South Side way back when.
Charlotte Kaplan.
Right.
And people who are not from Chicago area and have worked with Volunteers for Israel know Charlotte and her passion and her ability just to really work with the program. She tells it like it is. I mean, it's you're not going on a cruise when you're in the middle of the Negev with no air conditioning.
Yeah, I've been there actually, but it's not. Yeah, it's people don't know. You don't know what a desert is. A lot of you.
Yeah, the amazing thing is, our base was about 2.5 hours south of Tel Aviv, and I said we're outside of Beersheba, and I had no idea what to expect. Beersheba is becoming the gem of the desert. The building that's going on there is absolutely amazing. And we're not talking 6, 7-story buildings. We're talking buildings that are probably 20, 30 stories tall.
Really?
And glisten. So they're just keep adding on to it. And you see this in the distance. You're going, it's almost like seeing the Emerald City in the distance. So there's a lot going on there. Very vibrant throughout the country. All the parts we saw, which were Tel Aviv, Yerushalayim, and Beersheba. But it needs to say it's a very exciting place and a very exciting program.
No, it sounds absolutely terrific. And it's funny because when I interviewed Charlotte and I asked her what are people going to do, and I told a joke about hard labor and all that, she said, yeah.
That's about it. There were 15 of us assigned to this base, and it's basically it's a distribution center for a variety of things. So I worked with 2 other people in a warehouse, and what we were doing is basically putting on IDF inventory tags on various. We happened to be doing vehicle parts, and then they were being sent to different distribution centers. My wife was assorting tools, and you don't go there looking for exciting work, but you go there to give back. And I'm working on a story based on the experience and on the program. And I would say of the 13 people I interviewed, because I didn't interview my wife and I, most of them said, it's one thing to give a check to support Israel. It's another thing to give up your time. And there are some people who have done this program 2, 3 times. Some people are there for 3 months. And one of the things that astounded me is the age. I'm 63 years old. I was the 3rd youngest out of 15. The oldest was 85. He was from England. And the guy I worked with in the warehouse was 77. These people are just passionate about it. And you're overwhelmed with the passion and pride for Israel and by the Israelis you work with. It's truly amazing.
Wow, that is no. Listen, I interview Charlotte for like 2 minutes every other year, but you're the first person to give us a detailed description of what's really going on over there, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very cool, and of course, the soldiers they're 18, 19, 20, 21. Our Mazarok were young women. They're all immigrants. One actually was an immigrant from Chicago area. Another was from Costa Rica. Another was from Williamsport, Pennsylvania, and they just then felt passionate about going to Israel. And you go into every base as a synagogue. So I was davening mincha with IDF soldiers and with civilian workers there. I found out that my art school didn't work well when you're davening Sephardic, but we got the basic idea. But it just, you said we're here for a few minutes. I could talk for hours on the program. And the things they do, we heard from an Israeli artillery commander, young woman, about 22. We had one of the combat soldiers come in one night and talk with us about what's going on in the military, what they're eyeing for, what they're bracing for. When you hear these kids, and they're younger than my kids, you have an extra spring in your step when you're in the warehouse the next day, because knowing what you're doing is not just going to help them, but ultimately the entire state of Israel. So it's just an amazing experience.
No, it's very cool. And, I'm sorry to do this to you, but you had an idea for a gentleman's club in Gaza?
Yeah, it came to me, it was probably brought on by the heat. And people roll their eyes, but I do have a good name for it.
Sure.
The Gaza Strip. I mean, you can go from there.
Everybody's laughing in the background. It's definitely a good title. I'm sorry, that bad on me for telling it, but I had to hear at least one good joke today. So in any event, how's the blog going? We've only got about a minute and a half.
The blog's going well. It's a little slow because I wasn't around in June and getting caught up. I've got some teaching to do this summer. Be looking at the blog. I'm not going to blog about my experience because, in journalism, it shouldn't be about me. And I hope to write a story about the program for some publications. The Buffalo Grove blog, there's some things I'll address. I'm looking at some programs that the Village does that are very exciting. And then my blog on Chicago Now, some things I want to reflect on because there's been so much interesting stuff going on in the news, from Donald Trump to Mr. Obama's decision to work with the Iranians. So there's a lot of opinion stuff going on. All it takes is time. So.
No, it does definitely take a lot of time, and I think I could write about 100,000 words myself about what's going on with Obama in Iran right now. And I think I could sum it up simply, World War III, ? So not a joke, people, either. In any event, how many Lisagor awards have you won?
I've only won one. I won in 2011 for 2010, but I've been a finalist for the last 5 years. So we're coming close.
That's pretty impressive.
If nothing else, it's good to know that professional peers recognize my work to be at least considered a finalist. So we keep on plugging. Definitely.
I want to thank you very much, Stan Zoller. And people would like to contact you real quick?
They can just do it in care of sczoller@gmail.com. Give them information about the blog and information about the Volunteers for Israel program.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Sonny. Bye-bye.